Hello. A very good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you all to the first panel session of ICORD 25, focused on design education. To begin with the panel session, I would like to call upon the stage first the chair of the panel, Professor B. Gurumurthy.
It is my pleasure to introduce Professor B. Gurumurthy from ISC Bengaluru, a renowned expert in CAD, product information modeling, computational metrology, and prototyping. Professor Gurumurthy completed his BTech from IIT Madras and earned his ME and PhD in mechanical engineering from Carnegie Mellon University. His research has led to groundbreaking technologies. Please join me welcoming Sir on the dais.
The panelists for sessions are Professor Ola Isaacson, Professor Farouk Mistry, Professor Pascal Mason, Professor Peter Childs, Professor Udaya Kumar D, Professor Deepak John Matthew, Professor Mohammad Raji Khan, Professor Puneet Tandon, Professor Christian Marx. I request all the panelists to kindly come on stage.
Maybe an accident, he's not there. Christian Marx is not there.
Just a small correction. Professor Christian Marx is not here right now. I now request Professor Gurumurthy to introduce the panelists and continue with the panel session. I hand over the mic to Professor Gurumurthy.
You can give it to somebody else who wants it. Good afternoon and welcome to the first of the panel discussions in this edition of ICORD. The topic we have is an important one, design education, and the organizers have assembled a very fine panel here. So I want to get started right away. I believe we have under an hour, 55 minutes is what I was told. So what I would like to do is probably ask my colleagues on the panel for a 3-minute opening statement, and then we can probably have another round after that, and then we will open it up to the audience for a Q&A with all of you. I hope that is okay because that's the time we have, right? And in the same spirit, I was just thinking that I will introduce only those who have not been already introduced. I was going to say the same thing about me, that the audience hasn't changed. So I would only introduce those who have not been introduced before. So let me quickly mention some things about our panel. Professor Ola Isaacson, he's that? Yeah. So he's a professor in Chalmers University in product development, and he has a PhD in CAD from Luleå. And I guess he's also a co-founder of the Swedish Product Development Academy, and he has extensive publications and collaborations in the aerospace and manufacturing industries. Professor Farooq Mistry is an old friend of ICORD. Yeah, he's currently the LA Comp Chair at the University of Oklahoma's Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering Department. He's got his degrees from IIT Kharagpur and UC Berkeley, where he finished his PhD. And as all of you know, he has been prolific in a career earlier in Georgia and now at Oklahoma. And he directs the System Realization Lab, actually co-directs the System Realization Lab at Oklahoma University with Professor Janet Allen, who will be speaking to this conference at a slightly later. Professor Mason has been already introduced, so I will skip. Peter Childs has been introduced, so with your permission, I will skip. So Udaya Kumar is a colleague from IIT Guwahati, where he is an associate professor and head of the department now. He did his PhD from IIT Bombay, and he's an architect from his undergraduate training. He's interested in visual communication design and uh, typography. That's his specialty. And for all of us in India, he's a celebrity in some sense, at least to the academic community, because he's responsible for the Indian rupee symbol that is being used in the country today. So, Professor Deepak John Matthew, again a colleague from IIT Hyderabad. He is, working in the design center where he leads a program also on photography design, and he's, I guess, authored books on the principles of design through photography, and also contributes to other journals and magazines. And he has curated some very important exhibitions of very renowned artists in India and in the UK. Muhammad Rajiq Khan, hello. Let me this page. He is an associate professor and at NIT Rourkela, and he is interested in basically rehabilitation devices, human factors, and also machining, micro machining in particular. And he has a PhD from IIIT DM in Jabalpur, and I guess he is known for his work in occupational health, safety, and product design. Professor Puneet Tandon is another old friend of this conference, and of course, the design and manufacturing community. He's joined the position at IIIT DM Jabalpur in mechanical engineering and design, and where he leads a group on smart manufacturing. He has over 275 publications and 16 patents, and he's basically, very interested in encouraging startups and indigenous innovations. Welcome. So, welcome to all of you. And I think, as I said, we'll get started with statements from this side. I don't know if anybody's going to help me keep time. Otherwise, I will. And I'll just tap on the table once you're reaching the limit. And if you can conclude quickly, it'll help us keep time. So, we'll start with you. Yeah, that's my son. Yeah. Huh? Slides, I'm not sure if the time we have will allow that, because it may take some time. So if you can avoid it, we'll appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. His slides are uploaded already? So
well, never mind if there is not much time. I just so as I presented before, I'm coming from France, from an engineering institute, working on design theory, and the question was about what kind of designer do you teach? And I thought it was a very interesting question because usually we have a closed list. This is engineering design, or this is industrial design, or this is design engineering, etc. And finally, just asking this as an open question, I thought it was interesting. And for me, in my institute, I was pushed to say, well, finally, what we tend to design, these are designers who will be able to, at the same time, explore objects and organize collective action. So we tend to teach designer who will be manager for the unknown. So capable of not only designing things, but designing the way we work together, designing collaboration. And this is probably what we intend to do, designers as managers of the unknown. And when you want to teach this, in my institution at least, and what we try to do, there is an issue for initial education, and there is an issue as well for continuous education, because the managers that are working today, who are leading the companies today, they are suddenly confronted to issues that are different from the past. So this is not an issue only for young generation, but it's also an issue for the people who are today organizing action. So this question of managers as designers as managers of the unknown is a question for everybody to face contemporary challenges. And the way we want to do this, in my institute, we recently launched this Bauhaus for Transitions, trying to invent a new collaboration between education, research and impact. So trying to, to mix all three activities together, but we can come back to that later.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Good afternoon to one and all. Firstly, I'm thankful to Professor Amaresh Chakravarti, Professor Prasad, and the entire organizing team for having me here and for the invitation. And it is always good to come to ICORD and meet both old faces and new faces. Thank you for the opportunity. Uh, so what I'm about to share is mostly based on my personal views and my individual experience with the Department of Design IIT Guwahati. It is not necessarily the view of the department. So firstly, to introduce our department, so we have three programs: BDes, Masters, MDes, and PhD, all three programs. And we have a fairly large research scholars in our department, and we don't offer in specialized courses like industrial design or communication design. All three programs are generic in nature, which means that students opt or choose their own interest and navigate through the courses that we offer and become a visual communication designer, industrial designer, or engineering designer, or whichever path they would like to choose. So we kind of offer courses in all streams, uh, like I said, communication design, industrial design, and UI, UX, and so on and so forth. So in the recent past, what we have seen is most of the students, or at least the undergraduate and master students, they prefer or get opportunities into the UI, UX domain. But when you look at our as a design program, so we try to kind of cover as many disciplines as possible and make sure that the students make their own choice. And but it eventually what it ends up is depending on the placements. So most of the companies that they come and come for the placements are from the IT industries, and major MNC companies are all mostly from IT industry. So our students get absorbed in UI UX design position, and at least 90% of them, I would say. And there are 10% who would want to follow their own core disciplines, either in like furniture design or animation or other disciplines other than the UI UX. So that's been the recent trend. And in terms of the challenges, so again, personal view. So there are students' expectations which are seems to be different, and what we teach seems to be different, or rather, we what we think these are necessary for the students, probably students may not think at that point of time, and they would want them to be taught something else. But what we have as a part of curriculum, we've been following certain things, believing that this is what they need and this is what will help them become a professional designers. But somewhere down the line, probably as a design educators, we need to start adapting to the needs of the students, and probably we also have to kind of create awareness among the students that these are also necessary, that they have to learn to become a professional designer. So these are some of the differences. At least that's how I see in the current scenario. And with all of this technological advancement and so many things, again, there are new challenges which is coming on our way. Hopefully, we will adapt and face them. So that is it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you. Ola Isaksson here from Chalmers University in Sweden. I'm also very grateful to be invited here, of course. And we got the challenge of this open question. I second your comment that it was an intriguing question, what type of designers we do. We are an engineering university. We have the order of 30 master's program, bachelor programs, and we have also PhD programs, of course, or pro development courses. When it comes to design, I did check actually, and more than around half of the master programs actually has design in the title as such. That means we have design, we have industrial designers, we have in management, we have in more in engineering topics, we have human interface, etc., etc. But one thing that is, and I'm also, of course, engaged in the product development master, which is very focused on design. We were asked about challenges for students, and one thing, and that's we did a study some years ago at Chalmers and noted that around 80% of all students, all engineering students or whatever, actually start off their career in a development or product development even situation where they do focus on design in various aspects. So even if you don't have it as a specialty, you end up in there actually. So what are the challenges then? Well, one is that many students, when they come, are very analytical oriented. coming into engineering degrees, and they are good in solving problems. But as a designer, we need to also define the problems based on needs and expectations. Some have that kind of skill from the beginning, but not necessarily analytical skills. So combining these skill sets, the analytical skills and the more synthetic or holistic skills, that's a bit of a challenge that takes a bit of time of training. Another challenge is the accelerated pace of technology. That's we all see, we perceive it in AI and large language models now recently, but there's been others through the years as well. So how can we, as teachers and educators, but also students, adapt to that, learn that, and how can we prepare them for a career when they will expect to face even more disruptive challenges? In order to do so, we have various strategies. We have a curricula where we blend competence developments, knowledge development, and skills, the CDIO program. We also, and I'm personally also taking part in European programs where we use AI to accelerate course development using open educational resources, etc. The ICORD program in this case. So we also need to work on how to develop the curricula and courses to meet the future situations. We do that as a research project, actually.
Good afternoon. You've heard from me already, so I shall be brief. The question around what should we teach designers, I would suggest the ability to explore and develop ideas would be something that should be present in most of our curricula. And also the ability to manifest those ideas. And that manifestation could be through imagery. That manifestation perhaps also could and should be physically. So the ability to develop ideas and to manifest them. That is my response.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much. So the question is, I was just thinking, like what kind of designers are we making? So are they like, especially in a structured environment, like in a educational system, especially in India, we are very but in a rigid structure system. So our designer will have the freedom to creative think. Are we building that kind of an environment for designers to think open-mindedly? This designers always trying to solve the problem kind of concept. From are they emotionally connected to the world? Are they facing real world challenges? Are they connected are they open to accepting risk-taking challenges? Like nowadays the whole education system is focused towards employment and job, and or maybe maximum you build an entrepreneurship. But are we looking at designers to take even bigger challenges? So that's what I am looking at. So I was just thinking, in a kind of environment like an educational institutions like ours. So can we allow open-ended learning where learning together, people from different disciplines coming together and learning, solving problems, instead of each student doing assignments and exams and juries? Can there be group projects and learn from the world? Can we bring real world problems, issues to our uh, classrooms and work with the faculty and students working together, rather than like a hierarchy of a teacher and a student relationship? So these are some things which I want all of you to think about it. And how do we develop empathy? How do we inculcate empathy into the student's mind and work towards a design which is not just problem solving? It is also to look at how it transforms themselves as a designer. So an education institute as an institution, can we build this environment? So that will be my question.
Yes. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I'm very much privileged to be here with this panel discussion with all the booming and veteran researchers from various design kingdom. So I'm from NIT Rourkela, and just I want to give a brief. In 2011, we opened up a industrial design department at NIT Rourkela, and it is the only first institute in India which offers BTech degree in industrial design. Again, there can be a uh, point of discussion that why not BTech or why not MTech, but we are the one who started with BTech and MTech degree in industrial design. Although we have seen many ups and downs for the long run. Since 2011, I joined as the first faculty member of that department, and now it's 2024. We are here, and so basically, as I told, we offer BTech degree. So we aim to cultivate industrial designers with a strong emphasis on design, engineering, plus user-centric innovation, plus creativity in design. So it's a blend of engineering and design, what I can conclude what we are offering. Okay, so we basically train to develop creative designers with a blend of technical implementation. That's how what we are creating. But again, there are a lot of challenges we are facing still. In India, being at Rourkela, opening a BTech degree in industrial design, we also face many crunches of faculties and multidisciplinary skill integration, what we lack there in our institute. And again, further, what many points have been covered by the colleagues. So there are many more challenges which we are facing, and we are moving ahead to solve one by one those issues. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all of you. So I'll share my views on design education based upon my personal experience, my experience as a educator and researcher. So design, if you look at uh, like for last 30, 40 years, design has been a part of various curriculum, but it was not given the due emphasis what it should be. In fact, uh, it's only last few years when people have started understanding the importance of design, and there are many factors responsible for that. I'll come to that later. But what is more important, if you understand the difference between the analysis phase of education and synthesis phase of education. So last 5, 6 decades or even more, the emphasis was more on analysis side. People were not, as my colleagues have already talked about, the importance of creativity, uh, empathy, and all those things. But last 1 decade or so, the importance have been started realizing, and the design as education is also getting focus, particularly in India as well as abroad. Also, lot many schools have started floating design courses also. That also has gone to it. And being into a part of a technology institute, I know the importance of design spine among the technology programs also, which is very important. So according to me, design is, if I put in one word, design is something which can synthesize the knowledge and which can lead to new ideas, new products, and other related things. Thank you.
So can the slides be loaded, please? Yeah, it's coming up. Oh no, this is not the one. The, 1 second, the mic is also not on. Just a minute. Yeah. Is that it? Yeah.
Yes.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Slide 1, please.
Yeah.
My
Yes.
name is Farouk Mistry, and I'm from the University of Oklahoma. And 2 years ago, I gave a keynote here, and the title of that was From Design in India to, from Make in India to Designing and Making in India. My wife and I are very high on India. We think very highly of it, and since 2016, our research focus has been on improving the quality of life of people who live in rural India. So I put together this set of slides, and the question that I posed is the following: what is the role of a modern higher education institution in India? What is the role of a modern higher education institution in India? And I suggest to you that the role of a modern higher education institution in India has the nexus of three things: the creation of intellectual value, economic value, and social value. And when you think in terms of design and designing, it touches on all three. Social value, why? You want to make a difference. Intellectual value, why? You want to think in terms of doing new things. Economic value, why? Because you want to generate wealth for the community and for industry and for social entrepreneurs. So the role of an academic institution of higher learning from a systems perspective, is to provide an opportunity, and I was very pleased to hear you talk about the community of undergraduate students, research scholars, and faculty to learn how to create economic value, social value, intellectual value, and maximize the nexus between the three. Next slide. All right. So I'm going one step higher. I recognize that there are technical competencies that design engineers need to have, and many of you have spoken about that in terms of this needs to be done, that needs to be done, etc. What has also been mentioned is that we are looking for designers to be entrepreneurs, right? We are looking for designers to be entrepreneurs. They will go out and create social value, create economic value, and intellectual value. You cannot do that if you're not an entrepreneur. You can become a keyboard monkey. So here, I offer you 5 non-technical career-sustaining competencies that I believe, my wife and I believe, need to be included in curricula. 1, the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn through reflection on doing and the associated creation and articulation of knowledge. Learn, unlearn, relearn. As designers, we have to do that. 2, the ability to speculate about the future and to identify gaps in the state of art or the state of practice in ways that may lead to innovation. Because if you don't speculate, you don't think about what the state of art and state of practice is, one cannot innovate. The ability to ask questions. Why is that important? Because what learning starts when you know what you don't know, you have a desire to know it, and you see a value in learning about it. So the ability to ask questions, actively listen, reflect, and identify opportunities worthy of further investigation. What if I did this? What if I did that? What if I did the other thing? Questions embody gaps in a person's knowledge, and the answers may lead to generative learning. Just like generative AI, generative learning, I believe, is the key for design education. The ability to make decisions to move forward using incomplete information. Innovation involves risk. Innovation always involves risk. So if you kept saying, I don't have all the information, I can't do it, you can't move ahead. Can all people be design innovators? The answer is no. It depends on the amount of risk that that person is willing to take. A risk-averse person will not be a design entrepreneur. And finally, the ability to assess and think critically. And there are 2 parts to it. There are several types of thinking critically. We focus on 2. Deductive reasoning. One example, lots and lots of information, lots and lots of data. You reduce it and say, this is where I come from. I've selected such and such. Inductive speculation. What is inductive speculation? A human being has a rational mind and the intuitive mind. The human being has a rational mind and the intuitive mind. The rational mind is deductive reasoning. The intuitive mind is that which says, I've seen all this stuff, but I think this, or I have a hunch here. So the ability, the giving the student the confidence to use that intuitive mind is very important. Next slide. Now, we are very interested in collaboration. In terms of research, in terms of teaching, all with the idea of publishing a paper. So if you're interested in working with us, you come along and say, you want to publish a paper, let's work on it. There are 3 papers that I offer you. The first was presented in 2023, Design Education in India in the Era of Industry 4.0. That's where these 5 career-sustaining competencies come from. The second one is mass customization from personal products to personalized engineering education. And one of the speakers here mentioned, can we do things in an apprentice mode, a Gurukul mode, and that's what is coming out there. And the third one, which we published in 2018, is leveraging self-assessment to encourage learning through reflection on doing. Why is self-assessment so important? Self-assessment is important because the student needs to define. One of the roles of a professor is to help the student to define his or her own design identity. What is that person believe in? What makes that person happy? What gives that person the passion to go out and do X, Y, and Z? With that, thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we are okay. It's time. So let me go for another round with my colleagues on the panel. And this time around, one of the things that I would like them to address is that given that there are different types of designers and also different types of design that are taught across by various people, and if they're all within the same institution, is it possible to define a common core of courses in design that you would recommend? If the answer is yes, then I would like you to list the courses. If the answer is no, then maybe you can speculate a little bit on what else could be done otherwise. Yeah. So let me start again in the same batting order. Yeah.
Yes, good. Thank you. um, I would plead for having a core on what is being a good designer in the sense of having a good rationality in generation. That's what I presented this morning, and being rigorous in the way people generate things, capable of asking the right questions, as it was said before, capable of generating good ideas, what it is, what does it mean, etc. So this common core, for me, there is an issue around the question of having a good shared rationality around generativity. This might sound strange again, but I insist on this. This is probably one good way to improve how we discuss design between different disciplines. The second common core that is hidden here, and you ask for collaboration. The question of collaboration between designers, and because there are very few situations where designers are alone. They always work together to an extent that is unimaginable before. Unimagined before. So the question of collaboration between designers and what does it mean to collaborate between designers? So the way we work together as designers, this is a question that should be part of the curricula. We insist a lot on the individuals, but those individuals will have to organize the action of others. So a designer will have to organize the action of his teams. We'll have to discuss with his boss, with his suppliers, with his customers. This kind of collaboration gives birth to contracts, to responsibility, to accountability. So this is also something that is certainly a part of the curricula. How do we teach the way to work together, the collaboration models?
Excellent. Thank you.
I come from visual communication design background, so mostly I will restrict to communication design. So I think foundation courses are very important for visual communication, and that's the core. Yeah? So basic design is utmost important. If even though whatever level that you would want to achieve, I think the basics are fundamentals or has to be in place. So foundation, all the foundation courses are important. That's a core. And apart from that, there are other skill sets that one has to be imparted during the design education. That's like observation skills, visualization skills, creativity, representation skills, and yeah. So these are some, and also communication skills. So these are some things which I think is necessary.
Thank you. Yeah. Your views?
Yes, already now much as wise word has been said. I think that the designers teach them to be very creative and think openly towards problems and try to create solutions, whereas the knowledge that will impact the success of a product or a design may reside in people who are not very trained or experienced in design. They don't think as designers. So yes, there is definitely a need to bring non-designers into design thinking in some way. Design thinking is, in a sense, that type of technique. So I think the way to do it, or one way to do it, is to challenge multiple competences into a very practical problem, so they can create and deliver, implement, test, generate designs without thinking too much, then perhaps they can either realize the value of design approaches or get practical training on that directly.
Thank you.
Part of design thinking is commonly regarded as experimentation and another part exploration. And I think there is a place for both of these in the environments we provide to our students, and indeed within our design schools and educational establishments. So experimentation and exploration. A further comment is on what the purpose of a university is. And I would suggest that a university is centered around knowledge, the transfer of existing knowledge, but also the development of brand new knowledge. And designers do this all the time through their innovations.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. So when you're looking at, there are different kinds of designers, so like engineers who are becoming designers. Now we are also debating on should there be a homogeneous one design education. So if you ask me my opinion, I would say no, because every person is different. Every designer approaches the problem will be different. Now, how do we accommodate this in an education system? So can there be, like Uday was saying, that some fundamentals are required, but at the same time now in today's world, that fundamentals are also questioned. What it should be is also debatable. So I personally feel it should be like a large workshop, and when everybody does what they want to do it, and then there should be focus, and then mentors. Like it should be like the old guild system where mentors and mentees are working together, and then everybody identifies their own core competence, like ikigai you were talking, what they want to do and what they want to enjoy in their life. Similarly, so how can that be brought into a structured institute like this will be the biggest challenge for the design educators actually. So without freedom, how can you encourage people to think freely? So that is my question actually. So yeah. So instead of examinations and at the end you evaluating them and grading them into different shapes and so I believe that a different system has to evolve. So for that we can look back to our own uh, own our own background, in whether it's a guild or it's a craftsman or the way we looked at things before. So that's what I feel. That way design education need to uh, redefine the way we conduct the courses. I am against compartmentalization.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to piggyback on what John has just said out here. In India's National Education Program 2020, there are three things that are very, very important. One is the notion that every institution of higher education needs to do nation building. That's one. And so you can say, what is that element of nation building? Most of the IITs say, hey, we are providing the workforce to go into industry. Very good. But then if you look at India's GDP, on a per capita basis, it's 140, 150 in the world, which means that there's a huge disparity between the companies that generate the wealth and the rest of the country. If you look at the GDP, 27% comes from manufacturing. The rest of it comes from services. So I would suggest that a program for design entrepreneurs is what is needed. And in the idea of diversity, you may say, okay, there are other people who do all this other sorts of stuff, but putting together a program for design entrepreneurs who are going to be the free thinkers, for whom you do not necessarily have to have courses, but for whom you say, this is the core, this is the minimum that you need to get a degree, whether it's a BTech or a whatever you call it, and then the rest comes from the interdisciplinary notion of where it comes from. Why do I say that? Because in India's National Education Program 2020, the government says that by the year, whenever, whatever the horizon is, that they want programs to be transdisciplinary. What do they mean by that? That is not between mechanical and electrical and civil, but it's between different disciplines, people who think differently, who verify knowledge differently, who create knowledge differently. So my answer to your question is to create that program that educates entrepreneurs. And I'll go one step further. That doesn't have to be at one institution. That can be done by people from different institutions putting together that curriculum and giving that various degree.
Thank you.
I agree with Professor. And I would like to put my point in this way. See, change is inevitable. In the morning session of Professor Gurumurthy sir, what we have seen is that there is a change. What earlier was there was an analog design. And now what in the morning we have seen is the digital design. Is the very well example set by of example of digital design. So people now have changed from analog design to digital design. So definitely we require the people from multidisciplinary skills integration. That is one part. And again, fostering innovation, entrepreneurs is an add-on to it, will be add-on to it. So we should come up to inculcate or to club those all skill sets with which we can come to a change which is adaptable to this design stream. So I think any more points Proston can add?
Thank you. Uh, so my answer will be also like both yes and no. Yes, in the sense that uh, we know that if somebody is versed with the proper design process, so whether she or he is given a product design or a visual design, it very easy to switch over. But what we fail to understand is that we are not talking about designers, but we are talking about design students. Curriculum is for design students. So that means that apart from giving the basic structure, which will not only include the certain foundation courses, design element, and some advanced courses, what is more important is to teach them courses on design management. And what Professor Mistry has also said, I also agree that since innovation is a very important part of design, and innovation means that whatever product people are designing, that should be sellable, that should be purchased by. So what we want is that we should not be only designing solutions which are being the need of the people, but people are ready to buy it also. That means we need to inculcate the entrepreneurs' skills into the people, and that has to be very important agenda. And as again, like if you go through the NEP 2020 document, the focus is very strong on not only engaging, forget about designer, but other students of higher education as a employee, but as employers actually. So that's very important aspect.
Thank you. Wonderful. So I think some food for thought has been generated. So time to hand it over to the audience for questions. So while they get their mics ready, I just wanted to tell my panel that I want to come back to you with one quick short question. You can think about it and we'll answer it, take the answer at the end, which is that most graduate departments, at least some departments that I know of, have a reading list, for the students coming in. So for a program in design, if you were to create this one book from each one of you. So I didn't want to surprise you. So you have, heads up. We'll take the questions from the audience and close with this question. Yeah, please state your name and then you can, and if you're going to target to somebody, please mention that as well. Yeah. Oh, there was one. I'm coming to you, Santosh. Yeah.
Good afternoon to the panel. My name is Ritvik, and I was a student of Professor Uday at IIT Guwahati. And my very first ICORD, I was fortunate to ask Dr. Mistry a question. So it's been almost 10 years since 2013. What I feel is that, like Professor Uday said, we don't need the specialization. We need a generic sort of a thing. But I think there are no part-time courses right now which any of the premier institutes are offering for working professionals. They need a lot of upskilling. I come from the industry, and what I'm seeing is youngsters, design students who are coming out of IIT Hyderabad, IISc Bangalore, they're very, very interested in picking up tech, breaking it, making new things. I give them a Raspberry Pi, they'll build something. If they don't know, they'll learn it over the weekend, they'll build something. But professionals, if you're asking them, who have been in the industry for 8 years, 9 years, they need some upskilling, but none of the institutes are offering part-time courses. So if you guys can think of something, what would that structure look like? And you need not have a definitive answer right away.
I guess I will leave it to the institutes in India.
Yeah, ET Hyderabad has part-time program. Yeah, we have program for the people who miss the bus. We have evening masters program. We have also Saturday, Sunday classes for 6 months. There are very specific targeted things are there, and I'm expecting that there are more institutes. Like I think IIT Roorkee is also starting. Many institutes are starting actually. It's picking up. Yeah, I think it's happening.
Any other? Anybody else? No. Okay. I think one question I just probably he may want to know is, are you offering a certificate or a degree? I think that may be
Certificate for 6 months and degree if you do 2 years. And our degree program is do it at your own pace. And a degree you can actually do by credits. You know, each credit you do, you get. And once you earn that 48 credit or 50 credit, you get the degree.
So. Yeah, Indian Institute of Science also has a certificate program now. I think it is going to start shortly, I presume, but it is going to be a certificate course. It will cover all aspects of design.
In fact, sooner or later, this is going to be, because as per the NEP, we will have to design certificate, diploma, and degree courses where people can come and learn at their own pace. It's just the question of time. They're already ticking actually.
Thank you. Sadur, yeah.
My name is Santosh Jagtap from IIT Guwahati. My question is in the context of AI. So my guess is many design students use AI to perform many activities in the design process, to generate ideas and even to write reports. So I'm curious to know your views about the future of design education in the context of AI.
Future of design education in the context of AI. So any volunteer here?
So for the Imperial students in term 1, so the 18-year-olds arrived last term, and we gave them 100 AI tools to explore and to experiment with, and we expected them to use them. We gave them a little bit of framework, but you don't learn AI from a 59-year-old, you learn it from a 23-year-old. So I was quite limited in what we imposed upon them. So these tools are out there, let them use them, was a perspective we gave. We gave them a challenge, and we, of course, watched and coached them as they realized the AI tools did not always do what they wanted, and that you needed other approaches in order to deliver real functionality.
Yeah. Thanks, Santosh, bringing up this topic. I believe AI is just another tool. This was the same question when Gutenberg introduced printing technology. That time this was the same question. All the calligraphers protested that they're losing the job. Same thing happened when photography was invented. In 1800s, the same thing happened. Same thing happened when the computer got introduced. All the people lost job. So if you're looking at just skill as your hand skills, yes, definitely some people lose, but I think this will empower the designer, and then it is not the designers who accept it as a tool will continue to continue, and people are scared of it and shying away from it will perish. That's my.
Anybody else?
AI is definitely going to influence design. And unlike what I believe, unlike other tools, the impact of AI is going to be very powerful. So it is important for the designers to learn and live with that. But that's not going to change the basic instinct of designer. The creativity and the design knowledge is very much part of the human being. So, but only thing is that it's a unlike many other tools, it's very powerful. So you have to learn and to use it very carefully, with a proper perspective.
I would like to add on. I think you should guide AI, but AI should not guide you. So there should be a proper balance between the technology and the craft. Both are important. Okay.
Thank you. Any other? There's one here. the front. I'll come back to you.
My name is A.K. Chakravarti. I worked in KRTL, retired 10 years back. I think I was a designer, but I think you can't become a designer by choice. It is by chance. Like when he joined KRTL, a group of people, it was on director, he posted somebody to design, somebody to manufacturing, somebody to so there's a point that you cannot become a designer with a college level. It's very difficult. You are an engineer. This problem, I think, is best answered by Herbert Simon in his book, The Sciences of the Artificials. He has graded the entire science between basic science and science of the artificial. Science of the artificial is what engineering do. To quote him, he said, our engineering colleges have become college of physics and mathematics. Our medicine college has become college of biology. What he meant that in the colleges, we are not teaching the industrial practices, not design per se. So what is my suggestion, along with various courses and things like that, all our engineering colleges, we must teach the industrial practices, what Simon meant. And later, as they come out, somebody will become a designer, somebody will become a manufacturer, somebody will be a quality engineer, all are same. If the person's capability to connect the things.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Lady, that'll probably be the last question. I'm sorry.
I-
You can try one more if she's quick. Yeah. Can you
I
get
have
her
a
the
mic. May I ask?
Oh,
I already have a
sorry. Well, that's not fair. I think, yeah, just go with her.
So good afternoon to all the panelists. I'm Sona. I'm a research scholar from IAC. And in fact, my area of research is in design education. So I had a quick question about what is the right age or in fact stage to start design education among learners? So is there a right age or maybe a stage? So all are free to comment on that. Thank you.
Yeah, there is an answer.
I'd like to start with that. That's a great question. What it means, the question you've asked is, what does design mean? And you can start with a child who is able to respond to you. For example, the child comes along and builds something using blocks. You can ask the child, why did you do that? What did you prefer doing it? For example, you can take a child to a museum, you can take a child to a horse riding school, you can take a child to all these different things. And then ask the child, what did you like about it? What did you not like about it? You take the child to another event and say, what did you like about it? What did you not like about it? You offer the child two options and say, which of these two would you like to go the next time? And why? What you're doing here is developing the ability in a child that is about 3 to 4 years old to reason, to think, to look at the environment, to see opportunities in terms of enjoyment, growing, upliftment. So that deals with parenting. That does not deal with a school or a university. It deals with parenting. How do the parents engage their child to grow?
I completely agree with. I think this question came because of the structured system where what education killed us. Every kid, like if you remember your childhood from first standard and UKG, everybody was an artist. Everybody used to sing. You ask any kid to sing, they'll sing. But we killed them with our this interesting educational system. Actually, I think we should go back. So design is an activity. It should come naturally with everyone. So there cannot be an age where you start like, or that there should not be a beginning age or there should be an ending age also. Somebody at the age of 90 also should, like if they want to get into formal education, they should get it actually. So it should be a natural process for any child at any a person at any age to start the thing. I think this is like if I can crack this joke, we crack this joke among ourselves. JEE exam. When should you start going for coaching classes? Yeah, we can answer that. That answers here.
So there was a question here, and there'll be one question from this side. Somebody had raised their hand. Yeah, those two, and we'll close with that. Yes, please.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
I'm Chaitanya. I was Professor Deepak's PhD student. Now I'm working as an assistant professor. So for this question, I would like to sort of for a short time segregate the Indian guests, Indian panelists, and the non-Indian panelists, because my question pertains to the rapid change of technology and rapid change of jobs and the domains of jobs that are happening. As Professor Peter pointed out, that if I want to learn AI, I would rather ask a 29-year-old rather than a 53-year-old. That's correct. But I want to ask my Indian faculties and my non-Indian faculties, how much time through bureaucratic processes do they actually get to upskill their own skills, their own, how much time do they get to orient themselves towards this update? Because I've seen my own faculties burdened with so much paperwork that I can't imagine that a faculty would go out of their way to do that. So is there any
So that's
disparity?
the question? Yeah. So, okay. One from India, one from outside India. Yeah. Puneet from India. Yeah. So everybody is in India now.
So what you said is partially true from the Indian faculty. A lot of paperwork, a lot of paperwork. But I'll say if you have a willpower, you can always learn. I have started floating course generative AI design for last one semester at this age.
So I'm a product of IIT Kharagpur, and I've been there many, many times. And I spent 4.5 months at IIT Jodhpur last year. Here is my take on what's happening here. The faculty are asked to do too much teaching, too much administration, too much of the routine stuff. They do not have enough time to think. This is my observation. I may be wrong, but I think this needs to be corrected.
It resonates. Yeah. So
I will go one step further. I have seen the graduate program in India, the United States, Australia, and I've been involved in Britain. I think there's a great opportunity for improving the graduate education program in India. The undergraduate programs are outstanding. The graduate programs require a lot to be changed. Specifically what? From day one, I believe the faculty need to be involved in research with the student from day one. Not say, take these courses, then come to me, then I'll see what it is. Not tell the student, guess what? You get the result, then come and see me. Until you get the result, I don't want to see you. This is not the way in which graduate education takes place. Graduate education involves a partnership between the faculty and the student. It's a mentoring exercise. It is not a teaching exercise. And that, again, that culture needs to change.
thank you. You get a mic here? Somebody, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth. I'm from Atlas Celtic University, Mumbai. I have a question for all of y'all actually. So we're talking about skills, we're talking about competencies, but can we also delve a little bit on who are the major stakeholders involved in developing skills? Is it only academia's role in to develop skills? If not, can there be a bit more clarity on what is each stakeholder's role in developing skills or competencies?
Okay. So smart all, but I would like only one of us to answer in the interest of time. Who wants to volunteer? Okay. Uday.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's everybody's responsibility, but primarily it rests on the students himself or herself. Yeah? So he has to know and has to develop the required skill set, what is to be in the field. So I think the most part will rely on the student, him or herself. Yeah, that's what I would see.
Okay. So I think with that, I will call an end to the discussion. Thank you all very much for the questions and for my panel. Yeah, round of applause. I guess the question still remains. So while they get ready with the transition, if you can just say which book that you would recommend as common reading. I don't know, all of you have forgotten this, so then you don't get to leave. But yeah, quickly. Yeah, you can pass the mic, yeah. While they do the transition.
So there are many books, but my impression is it's sounds strange, but compared to the question on AI and new tech and the question of research, I think we should have a book on the history of design. I particularly like the book by Peter Rice, for instance, An Engineer Imagines, where you see how a career is built over time, how you mix science and creation, how you learn and make research. So something about the history of a career or history of design in different centuries.
Yeah, so what I'm going to say is not necessarily a design book. It's by Robert Greene. It's called Mastery. It's a very interesting book, and it really talks about how you can master yourself in whichever field you are. And I think it's important for designers also. I mean, and there are other sessions, but I think this was an interesting read. If you can get a hold of it, it'll be nice.
Yes. Plenty of books, of course. I think something generic. History was already taken. Otherwise, that's a good option. But like product design by Rosenberg and Ekels, for instance, inspired me when I was a graduate student.
One of the comics.
Okay, go ahead.
I would advise you read fiction and you read poetry, you read folk tales, folk songs, because that is where you need to learn to imagine.
There are two books. One is Herbert Simon and the Sciences of the Artificial. He thought ahead, and he made the distinction as to the humanities and the sciences. He coined the phrase satisficing. In essence, he said you cannot optimize a complex system. So that's one. There's a lot of wisdom in that book. It's a very thin book, and it's worth reading. The second is Howard Gardner and the new sciences of the mind. It's an absolutely fabulous book, and this in the age of AI. Going back to that, I went back to that, and he talks about 8 different types of intelligences. Imagine if we are able to create agents for each of those different types of intelligences, and then we were able to let them loose on any problem and see what happened. I think it's a fascinating book, and it's worth looking at again.
I think design methodology, Albits, then books on design ethics, design management, and a lot more. There are.
So I'll also not list one book. There will be many great books, but yes, I like something to read where creativity and innovation can be enhanced. So maybe a formal book can be a good addition.
Sorry. One book. If you want to read one book, read Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse.
Fine. Thank you very much.
A big thanks to all the panelists. I request the chair, Professor Gurumurthy, to please felicitate the panelists. Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Shahid to please felicitate Professor Gurumurthy. No, Professor Shahid. Thank you, sir. Please note, this is the workshop time slot. You all can proceed to the respective venues. In case you have any further doubts, you may proceed to the registration desk and they'll help you out. And also please note, the Young Researchers event starts at Audi here only at 7 p.m. in the evening, followed by the cultural event Samagati at the Lecture Hall Complex, LHC 5 at 8 p.m. And you all can now proceed for the workshops, and there will be parallel sessions and they will be strictly on time. Thank you. One announcement, please. There's a workshop happening here in this auditorium. So people for this workshop can remain here. Rest, everybody has to proceed to their respective venues. We have to vacate the room. Thank you.